And Mark Ellens, toe tag. How are you? Hi, gorgeous Nikki. What's happening? Brad Forsey, what's happening? Hi, lovely Jenny. The gorgeous Jessica McCreary has arrived, everyone. She likes a good wave, so make sure you wave back. Todd Hunter, good to have you here. We're caught up. We got about, let's say about 30 seconds to go before we're going to launch tonight's show with Alfred Santariga. Alfred, I'm going to get you to tilt your camera up a little bit, if you don't mind, because we just want to see the top of your head there. There we go. Oh, there. Yep. Oh,
I'm trying.
There you go. That's perfect.
How's that?
That's perfect. Hi, gorgeous Gloria. Vanner Smith, how are you? Remember, a great way to support this show is by the Super Chat. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. We are literally 5 seconds away, so get your horns up. Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal is next. The mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. I'll tell you, these are the nights that I love on this show, when we get into the experiences of real people. It's not about research. It's not about books and documentaries and movies. It's about real experiences with real individuals who cannot understand these all too real problems. And this is where we find Alfred Santariga. 53 years of experience in all aspects of the paranormal field. He's intuitive, he's an experiencer, continues to actively research the cryptids that are haunting this world. Alfred has appeared in half a dozen independent films, along with New York Network Television. He's the founder of the Bronxville Paranormal Society, director of the New York State UFO Project, director of the New York State Sasquatch Organization, and director of the North American Dogman Project New York State Chapter. This guy wears a lot of hats, a lot of experiences, and the beautiful part about him is not only his accent, but that he's a New York Yankees fan as well. And I love that. I love it. Alfred, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time, my man. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Dave. It's my pleasure. It's been a long time coming. I've been dying to get here since I listened to you like on Revolution Radio like 6 years ago for the first time. And I was like, man, this dude is so good, you know? And because not all hosts are created equal, and you're one of the better ones out there, bro.
Thank you so much, and your check is in the mail for that, just so you know. Because apparently, if you didn't know, we there's a rumor going out there that we buy our followers. So if I'm buying my followers, I got to buy the compliments too. So your check is in the mail.
Awesome.
I appreciate you coming on in and doing this with us tonight because, Alfred, you know, we talk to a lot of people on this show, as you know, and I know you're a fan of this show and you're following often with what we are doing. And we've talked to longtime researchers, decades-long researchers, whether it's in UFOs, paranormal, or cryptids. And my favorite stories are what we are going to talk about tonight because in the end, this entire Spaced Out Radio project, this business, this radio show, this YouTube channel that we have put together, comes down to one single reason. Why me? Because my life shifted in 2011 when I had my first experience. And since then, I have had a lot of questions answered. But the problem is, for all the questions I've had answered, there's been about 1,000,000 more questions that are still unanswered, and it makes it more confusing. And I think we, as a paranormal society, if we use that term as an umbrella term, we don't pay enough attention to what is happening to those who are having relevant contact and experiences. And this is why I love shows like we are going to do tonight, because it's the real deal of what you're going through. When did it all start for you?
Oh, it started for me when I was like 5 years old. At 5 years old, my grandmother had passed away, and I got her room. And for the first week after she passed away, she came by every night to tuck me in. And my mom, who had premonitions all her life and would have conversations with people while she slept, and I told her, and my mother said, she understood, she knew, but my father was a black and white kind of guy, and he was like, nah, I'm not buying it. I put grandma on the ground, she's not here. But I was like, I don't know what to tell you, Pop. She's tucking me in at night.
So going back to 5 years old, having your first paranormal experience with your grandmother, what was that like all of a sudden, knowing that she had passed away? You had attended her funeral and the big family affair that went along with that, and all of a sudden, boom, you get her bedroom, and there she is standing there.
Yeah, no, I mean, 5 years old, I didn't know what the hell to think. Obviously it was my grandmother standing in front of me, and she's talking to me in Italian. She's telling me, don't worry, everything is okay. I'm just here to check on you, tuck you in. And, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I was more confused than I was scared, because it was my grandmother, But I also heard a lot of stuff in the background in the family, like, we all lived in a tenement building, right? 6-story building, and everybody in the building was relatives. We were all related, We lived in an Italian neighborhood. Everybody on the block came from the same village in Italy. And, so I would hear my aunts talking to my parents, like in the kitchen, having coffee and cake, saying, like this one came by, Apparently my grandmother went and visited a couple of the family members other than myself. But, so I knew that I wasn't the only one seeing her, but I was confused, because, I know we buried her, and I loved her to death, but I mean, what do you do when you're 5 years old? You tell your parents, and, I told my brother and my sister, and my brother's like, wow, that's crazy, and my sister's like, don't tell nobody, but, it's just what it was, it is what it is.
Man, I could just imagine 6 stories of one Italian family. The dinners must have been fantastic and loud.
Oh my God. And it wasn't just one building. It was like 4 buildings in a row like that, so it was fun as a kid growing up with all of my relatives and all my cousins all on the same block. It was a lot of fun, a lot of big family functions and stuff like that. Yeah.
That would have been great. That would have been great to experience. For you, as you started down this paranormal road at an early age, when did you clue into your intuitiveness?
I guess I felt it as a kid, I always knew like when something was going to go down, you know what I mean? I always, like, if we were hanging out in the block or in school, you always knew when I always knew when trouble was coming around the corner, I would get a gut feeling, and I would say, okay, listen, we got to go here or we got to go there because shit's going to happen any second. My friends would look at me like I was nuts, but, and then, all hell would break loose. You know what I mean? So.
No, and I can understand that. I mean, I think we all kind of tuned into that fight or flight type of atmosphere, where as we got older and started having a couple of beers and everything like that, when we came of age, we became the curious fighting type. I mean, that's just the way it seemed to happen. I remember, growing up, playing hockey, hit 19 years old, you hit the bar age, and it's like, well, if I'm not hitting on girls tonight, we might as well brawl it up. I mean, that's just the way it was. And time you got kicked out, but that's okay. I mean, nobody hurt. nobody hurt in regards to that. But as you started to mature and everything, I mean, the one thing that really attracted me to wanting to bring you onto the show tonight was the fact that you are someone who has run the gamut with a lot of different experiences. I mean, tell our audience right off the bat, just give us a quick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on everything that you've experienced.
UFOs, cryptids, Bigfoot, Dogman, shadow figures. We've seen things in the woods. I've seen things in the woods. Like if I was to tell you all the crap that I've seen in the woods, you would think I'm nuts. Anywhere, things from like gnomes to shadow figures to just Dogmen and Bigfoot. Just, I mean, it runs the gamut, you know. And but you know, I mean, growing up as a kid, you know, my aunt was a white witch, you know. So if somebody in the family like had the evil eye put on them, we would go to her, you know, and she would take it off of us. I've had a couple of evil eyes put on me from ex-girlfriends and stuff, you know, over the years. But also my uncles and my aunts, they would do seances and stuff, you know, and as you know, one of the younger guys in the family at the time, I would just sit in the background and watch. You know, me and my cousins would sit in the background and watch while they did their thing, you know. But it was always under the guise of my aunt, who was the white witch. You know what I mean? So, you know, it was pretty interesting watching them do stuff like that. You know, and seeing like candles burning and getting brighter and smaller and stuff like that. You know, it's just mind boggling. You know, because you know everybody at the table, there's nobody there with like a butane torch making that candle go higher, you know what I mean? That candle is just answering questions and stuff. It's just mind-boggling.
I remember one time we were doing the whole candle thing, and you know, when spirit is around, believe it or not, you can like grab, if this is the candle, you could grab that fire and you can pull it up with your fingers, and it doesn't burn, and it'll just expand for you. And we used to have fun with that when we were in I wouldn't call it seances, but in spiritual meditation, I would say that. Okay, well, let's just start this, man, because I got to tell you, you know, I like gnomes.
Okay.
And I say that because I used to hate gnomes, but David Weatherly warned me about putting out that negative energy towards gnomes. Tell me about this gnome story that you've seen.
Okay, we were doing an investigation one night, and it was Halloween. There was a meteor shower going on. We had been in a couple of different locations. We had just moved to our second location, and the psychic said, "Okay, this location, you're going to see, you know, this. You're going to see all these crazy things." She said, "You're going to see fairies and gnomes and all that stuff." And we're laughing at my psychic does everything over the phone from Arkansas. She reads everything through me. She says I'm a conduit. And she's telling us that we're going to see fairies and gnomes. And we're laughing at her. Honest to God, we're like, oh, man, Cindy, you're on drugs, you know. But anyway, we hunkered down and we're filming and we're doing this and we're doing that. And Brian was with me that night. And all of a sudden, from across the lake, we see these two balls of light, you know? And she said that the balls of light were the fairies. I don't know. The Native Americans, they don't follow the balls of light. They're ominous, whatever. But anyway, I had told Brian earlier in the evening, I said, look, if these balls of light show up, you bring your green laser. I'll bring my red one, and we'll hit them with the laser, see what happens. Okay, so they show up. There was 3 of us there, and my friend, the camera guy, Bill, he had like a 1500 lumen flashlight, and these things show up on the other side of the lake. So I said, okay, on 3, everybody hit these balls of light, and on 3, we all shot our lights in. Now Brian hit one, I hit one, and Bill lit up the area just to see what was there, you know. And soon as these laser beams hit these points of light, these balls of light, these orbs, whether you consider them to be fairies or orbs or whatever, they blinked out. And as soon as they blinked out, they were gone. They never came back after they got hit with those lasers. I don't know if we did anything to him, we hurt him or damaged him or whatever. But so then we're filming, and I'm seeing like 7-foot shadow figures jumping from tree to tree, and I'm taking pictures, and I'm saying, "You guys see this? Film this." And Bill is filming that. Brian's looking behind me, and he says, "Dude, I'm telling you, there's something running from tree to tree back there." So now Bill comes over. He's filming with his night vision camera, and he's got like a $4,000 camera. The camera's amazing, and he's got a monitor on it. I'm looking at the monitor. He's looking in the camera viewfinder. We're looking at it, and hand to God, I swear to God, 3 little gnomes run from behind a tree to another. First one, then another, then another. Now we got an SD card in the camera, so we're like freaking out, like, "Oh, dude, we got this, we got it on film. This is insane." And but when we checked the SD card, there was nothing on it.
Never
all
is.
three of us seen it, clear as day. All 3 of us seen it. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, if you would have told me that I was going to go in the woods and see noise, I would have told you you're out of your mind.
See, the closest thing that I've seen to that was my son is now 8. When he was 3 years old, we had just moved up here. It was, going back 5 years already, my goodness. And come late August, September, you really have to watch the trails around here because of black bears. And, they're out foraging, trying to get as much food as possible. And this trail, it was right along the lake, and we were kind of up on this hill, and there's a drop down about 30, 40 feet to the lake. And my son and I had him in his stroller, because just in case we had to take off, it's easier than carrying him, a stroller on wheels. And, I'm not the fastest man, and I don't need anything slowing me down anymore. I mean, safety first. But
absolutely.
So we come up this knoll, okay, and we hit the peak of it, and there's a geocache up there, and we find that geocache, and then I put my son back in the stroller, and as we started to slowly come down this knoll, all of a sudden, right off the water bank where this bank is, and the lake is down below, there is this little creature. And it's probably 18 inches off the ground, probably 20, 25 feet in front of us. And it comes up from the embankment. It looks like a rotted out 2x4. I always say it looks like a miniature Towley from South Park. Okay? Because it had the stringy little arms and the puffy hands, and then the stringy little legs and the puffy feet. There was no head. It was just like this piece of 2x4, 18 inches, but it was like all rotted and, forest color and everything. And it starts walking along the path. It turns, looks at us, and we stop. And all of a sudden, boom, it takes off right back down the hill. But here's the one thing I remember about this. It was blurry. I had my glasses on, so, my eyes were working properly, but it was slightly blurry.
Man, that's weird. And, I mean, you think it was like a wood nymph or something like that?
Yeah, it was a wood nymph. That's exactly what one of my First Nations friends had told me. And they take care of the forest. They clean up garbage. They make sure that people are respecting the areas, and that's exactly what it was. But the thing that screwed me up about it was blurry, Al. It was blurry. And I look at all these stories where people are trying to capture photos of Bigfoot and Dogman and all these other cryptids, and those photos are always blurry. And I'm wondering, is there something to it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, everybody's got their theories, and it's all theory and conjecture. There's no experts. There are people who are experiencers, who experience this stuff, and then there are people with more experience who research it, but there are no experts. And I mean, we us too. We believe, Brian and the rest of the team, we believe that it's got something to do with the ultrasound, right? We think ultrasound is causing it. So I went and researched, which is not my strong point. It's more Brian's than mine. But I wanted to research if sound waves could actually interrupt light waves. And I found a study out of the University of Berkeley, California, where this professor did this study with the sound waves and the light waves, and there is one particular frequency where the sound waves will disrupt light waves, but it's only at one frequency, and that's it. But it doesn't work the other way around. Light will never disrupt the sound, but sound will disrupt light. And so whatever that frequency is, I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but it does correlate to what our theory is, as far as the ultrasound goes.
Truth. Very, very true in regards to that. So do you think all of these creatures are somehow tied together? Bigfoot, gnomes, wood nymphs, Dogman, the cryptid world?
I think there's a lot of stuff around us that comes from different dimensions in and out. But I also believe that there's stuff around us all the time that are in different spectrums of light that we just can't see, And I think if we were able to see in every spectrum of light, you would be amazed what you see around you all the time.
Okay, so getting back to this gnome then, when you saw all three, did you try and race them down?
No, we actually we were looking at it through the IR camera, so we're looking at it in IR. So that's how we seen it. But when we seen it run across 1, 2, 3, we were blown away. We were just like we couldn't believe our mind can comprehend what our eyes see. And yes, we did go over. We did eventually say, "Hey, listen, let's go over there and see if there's any evidence, a trail or something." And we went to the original tree that we seen them come out from behind, and we went across the path to the other tree, and there was no evidence of them ever being there. There wasn't a game trail, there wasn't any footprints, there wasn't anything out of the unusual. It was just the woods. You know what I mean? We were surrounded. We were 5 miles deep in the middle of the woods, and there was nothing but woods around us.
What did they look like?
Honest to God, I swear to God, it looked just like one of those little garden guys with the pointy hats. But they were about 2 feet tall. I would say they were about 2 feet tall. Yeah. Yeah, it was mind-boggling. I swear to God, it was mind-boggling.
And how far away were they from you?
Oh, man, they were close. I would say they were no more than 50 feet away from us.
Really? That's close.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they were pretty close. I mean, you wouldn't have been able to see them with your naked eye because it was pitch black. You know what I mean? We were in the middle of the woods, a lot of tree canopy and everything. It was night. But with the IR camera, you see them clear as day,
Wow. That is just amazing. We have just under 90 seconds to go here before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. Alfred Santariga is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. You have shadow beings going on in this moment. You got some other weird stuff going on. You got gnomes running around. I mean, was this place close to civilization? Was it kind of out in the rural areas?
Yes and no. It's a rural area, and we were about 5 miles deep into the woods. But so if you hiked 5 miles one way or the other, you would come across, homes and stuff like that. But it's a pretty rural community.
So that's something that is, those type of sightings, are they normal there?
Well, apparently this location is a place of high strangeness, yeah. Now, I've researched the area, and I never heard anything about gnomes or fairies or anything like that in my research, but there have been, Bigfoot sightings there and UFO sightings there. A lot of alien orbs going in and out of the lake, and UFOs siphoning water out of the lake, and Sasquatches, being in the area.
Well, let's get into Sasquatch next with you, my friend, because we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour, all the way from the beautiful state of New York. We have Alfred Santariga, and we are checking on out what it's like to have a multitude of personal experiences. It's one thing to research, to write books. It's another thing to chase down your own curiosity when it happens to you. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. That's a solid first half hour.
Wow. I can't believe a half hour went by already.
I know, dude. It's a lot of fun.
And that was quick.
Dirty Filth, how you doing, buddy? Dirty Filth. All right, there we go. Who am I not laughing at? Joe. Why am I not laughing at Joe? Is Joe insulting me? All right. Chad Smith is trying to steal my my profile here. All right. Not only am I Dave Scott, but I'm Chad Smith. Alfred, are you Chad Smith too?
No, I'm not Chad Smith. Absolutely
no?
not.
Okay, so we had to clear that out. Who's Chad Smith in the chat room? Hey, Fap, don't you wish you had one of these shirts on? Don't you wish you had one of these, buddy? Look how good this looks. Well, Adam is Chad Smith. Lazarus is... I keep wanting to say Lazarus. Lazarus is Chad Smith. 509er is Dave Scott. All right. Race fans, Chad Smith. Oh, what did Tammy say? Late night on the highway, I saw 3 baby T-Rex come out of the ditch. I said I may as well stop watching deer now, but maybe they were real. I am Chad Smith. Look at that. Look at that. Let's see here. Brian, hey, welcome back, Brian. He says we're all Chad Smith. Oh, Ben from UFO Garage. Hey, buddy, how are you? He says he is Chad Smith. Uh-oh. And Black Dragon, thank you for that amazing super chat, man. Damn. Thank you. That's really nice, man. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. I had an incredible experience. Remember last night I said that after the show, I had to tune out early because I had to talk some UFO stuff with Lori and Fenton. So I walk outside underneath my carport. My dog Doug comes with me, and he goes into our back, goes through the gate, which is about 3 feet away, and then goes about 5 feet, lays down on the ground. And as I'm talking to Lorian, I actually saw a ghost deer come hopping by. Like another 10, 15 feet in front of my dog. My dog didn't even react. Didn't even react. It was the weirdest thing. Ross Smith is apparently Chad Smith too. Night Gazer, by the way, is Chavez Smith with a Y. That is good. That is good. So yeah, I actually got to see a ghost deer last night hop through my yard. Kira is Chadina Smith. Very nice. And let's see who else we have. Alicia, thank you so much for that super chat. How's Texas today? And by the way, Alicia is now Chad Smith. And let's see here. Let's see, Fap, you would never see me in a ridiculous Yankees outfit. Dodgers for life. Well, I mean, everybody has a sickness, man. Snakes, you know what the problem is, Fap? Is the Yankees don't make a head opening big enough for you to fit your melon in. That's the problem. You went with the only jersey that your head could fit through, and it happened to be a Dodgers. Snakes is Chad Smith Sr. Let's see here. Christy Bergeron says Chad Smith. Looking good tonight, Christy. Thank you for joining us. We got about... it was transparent, Apollo. It was totally transparent, that deer. Yeah. Toe Tag, how are you? He's the real Chad Smith. Elaine is Chadzina Smith. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
That is nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Big thank you quickly to Alicia, Black Dragon, Brian, Murray, and Michael for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to take care of this show and all the hard work that we do on a nightly basis. And big thank you to all our new subscribers and everybody tuning in for the first time. And here we go with the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with a life of experience. Tonight, our guest, all the way from the beautiful state of New York, Alfred Santariga, is with us. I hear he makes a fantastic pasta. I really want to try this out. When's my invite, by the way, for dinner, Alfred?
I'm the pizza guy.
I don't care. I'll take a pizza. Look at me, man. Do you think I'm turning things down?
My wife is the pasta person. I'm the pizza guy.
That's all right. I'm coming over to pig out, no matter what.
Oh, absolutely. More than welcome anytime.
Absolutely. And then let's plan it right now. Pizza and pasta. And then when we get filled up, we're going to have a nap because and then after that, what we're going to do, go find some Bigfoot.
Awesome.
I think that's the perfect day. I think that's the perfect day.
We got to have Italian bread and antipasto too, though.
I'm in.
It all goes together,
I am so in. I am so in. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. My friend, tell me about your first Sasquatch experience.
Okay. My first Sasquatch experience was in 1974. Down in South Florida, a little town called Davie, Florida. My cousin Anthony and I, we would get shipped down to Florida every year. It was like our summer camp. My sister had a beautiful home with an in-ground pool, and my brother-in-law had a couple of dirt bikes for us. And, we'd work around the house in the morning, cut grass, paint, whatever. He always had a ton of chores for us to do. But in the afternoon when it got hot, we were either in the pool or in the woods riding our dirt bikes. So it was 1974. We're hanging out, me and my cousin Anthony. It's the wee hours, 1 o'clock in the morning. I think we were watching like Don Kirshner's rock concert or something back in the day, and that's a long time ago. And we had just gone to bed like 2 o'clock in the morning, and my sister's house was fenced in on three sides. The front of the house was open, had a circular driveway with a fountain, and then the other three sides was fenced in with a 6-foot fence. She had 2 giant German shepherds, and we're laying in bed. No, we're getting ready to go to bed, and all of a sudden the dogs start going ballistic. I mean, just absolutely ballistic. So I grabbed the dogs, I put them in the garage because I don't want them to wake the whole house up, and we smell this smell that was so pungent. It just burnt your eyes. I mean, you couldn't breathe. It was so bad. And it came, and then after a few minutes it went. And when it was gone, the dogs settled down. We brought the dogs back in. And then the next day, we tell my sister and my brother-in-law, Joe, something came by the house last night that made the dogs nuts. And it smelled to high heaven, And my brother-in-law, Joe, says, oh, that was the skunk ape. So me and my cousin Anthony, we look at each other like skunk ape. What the hell's a skunk ape? We thought he was pulling our legs, And he's like, no. My sister's like, no. This is the Bigfoot down in Florida is called the skunk ape. And we're like, yeah, okay, Bigfoot down in Florida. Everybody knows Bigfoot's only out in the Pacific Northwest, And So then we went out in the afternoon. We met up all our friends, and we were all hanging out in the back in the swamp, riding our dirt bikes. And we started asking all the local guys, and they're like, yeah, everyone around this time of the year he comes through with this, that, and the other. Like, it was no big deal. It happens every year. But I was like, okay. So then a couple of nights go by again. Me and my cousin are up to the wee hours watching TV. Back then, I think 2 o'clock in the morning, the TV shut off. You got nothing but snow. 2 o'clock in the morning, we go lay down. We're in bed. We're sitting in the sitting room, which had a queen size pull out bed with its giant picture window behind us with a curtain on it. And then all of a sudden, the sensor lights go on. Again, the dogs go ballistic. Again, I get up, I bring the dogs into the garage. And as I'm coming back from the garage, I see this shadow go across the curtain, we didn't know what the hell it was. And so my cousin Anthony seen it on the wall. It projected through, but I seen it on the shade, the actual shade that closed the window. So I got down on my hands and knees and crawled over to the window to see what the hell it was. And I peeked out from underneath the window. And when I looked out there, there was this, lack of a better word, a monster in the middle of the driveway looking at the picture window. Now, the sensor lights are on, the floodlights are on. And this thing, I don't know if it's seen its reflection in the window, but it gave like this incredible Hulk flex and just screamed bloody murder, And I almost died. I thought it seen me, I thought it was looking at me. And then it kind of just walked away, and it was going towards the side of the house. So as it walked towards the side of the house, I grabbed my cousin Anthony. I said, come on, let's go. And we ran to the bathroom between the kids' rooms. We left the lights off so nothing could see us from the outside looking in, but we're looking out because the house had sensor lights on all 4 corners. So as it's going along the fence line, and there wasn't any house next door to us on this side of the property. It was just wild watermelons. And it's walking along the fence line, and we're looking at it, and it's looking at us like it can see us through the tinted screen, through the tinted glass, and like it's looking at us. And we're looking at it, and we're like ducking underneath the window because we feel like it can see us. It stops, grabs a wild watermelon, takes a giant bite out of it, drops it on the ground, and heads towards the back. We run to the back to the patio, and we're inside the patio. And behind our house, the neighbor had a man-made lake. It squats down about a man-made lake. Again, it turns and it's looking at us, and it starts scooping up water, and it's drinking water. Okay, then it turns and it goes into the swamp where we ride our dirt bikes, where we have our bonfires, where we drink our beer and stuff like that, And so that was the first night. And my brain couldn't comprehend what my eyes were seeing, It looked like King Kong to me. It had the canines. Its eyes were red, but that could have been from the light, from the sensor lights, It had like a reddish tint hair. It was dark, but it had red tint hair. The next day, we told my brother-in-law what happened. We went out around the property. We found the footprints. They were like 18 inches long, and he was going to cast them and put them on his bar. But he never came home for lunch with the plaster, and by the time he got home at the end of the night, the guy who owned the horse ranch had already gone by with a tour, and he always drove by our house because we hung out with his son, so someone would always take the tours by our house, And so they destroyed the footprints. And then a couple of nights went by, everything was okay, and then this guy who owned the horse ranch, he had just brought this wild stallion in from Montana or Wyoming or something, and he couldn't put him in the stalls with the other horses because it would kick and make all the other horses nuts. So they had him out in the corral, and they had this Native American Seminole Indian would come and work the horse every day to break him. At one point, my brother-in-law comes home from the restaurant. So he always brought a couple of pizzas home from the restaurant at night, and we would just sit on the patio and eat them. So we're all sitting on the patio eating them, and when we hear boom, 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 we're hearing like a 30-30 going off, So we run to the front of the house, and you could see the muzzle flash of the gun. So my brother says, jump on your bikes and go see what's going on back there. So me and my cousin Anthony jump on our bikes. We race down there. We get down there. And, the kid, our friend, was telling us, the skunk ape tried to get the horse, the new horse. And the horse must have jumped the corral and ran into the pasture and got away. And my father came out and shot at it. The next day, when the Native American came to get the horse, they went out to the pasture to get him. When they brought the horse back, the horse had fingerprints in its hindquarters. Like if I was to grab you around the wrist like this and leave that mark, that's what it had on its hindquarters. And we were just like amazed. And then the native is saying that the horse must have kicked out from the grip, and that's how he got away. And so then the sheriff is saying, okay, we're going to have to pick up the patrol in this area because, these people are getting a lot. We're getting a lot. Because my sister's house was butted right up against the Everglades. And that summer there was a lot of drought in South Florida. There was a lot of fires in the Everglades, and a lot of the animals were coming inland, And even though they were coming into her community, she was still a good 5-10 miles away from town, And so a few nights go by, everything is all calm, and my sister and my brother-in-law meet up some friends from New York. They fly down to Florida, and they take them down to Miami, out to dinner, dancing and all that. And me and my cousin Anthony are watching the kids, babysitting the kids, and they get home around 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And my brother-in-law says, any action tonight? We said, no, pretty quiet night, No sooner than we say that, we hear this blood-curdling scream. I mean, it was just send chills down your body. Nobody knew what it was, But we heard this blood-curdling scream. My sister couldn't get in the house fast enough. My brother-in-law says, come on, get in the car. Let's go check it out. So my cousin Anthony jumped in. She dropped in the shotgun. I jumped in the back, and I was hanging out of the moonroof. My brother-in-law's brand-new Lincoln Continental. I'm hanging out of the moonroof. And as we're going up the block, just as we get to the block, the deputy is coming down one side of the street. So we're behind the deputy. And this neighborhood is like 2 miles square. It's a big square, but it's like 2 miles. And to the south of us, there was a cattle rancher. And he had like this giant white Brahma bull with a big thing on its neck and everything. It was big-ass bull, 1,500 pounds if you weighed an ounce. Anyway, we're following the deputy, and you can see the sheriff's cars at the other end of the development, and we're all looking to the left because that's where his spotlight is. He's looking towards the swamp. And this creature runs out from between 2 houses on the right, and he hits it with his car.
Oh, no.
And this car stopped like it hit a telephone pole.
No kidding.
No. Hand to God, I swear to God. He hits it. The creature goes down and takes down like a school crossing sign or a yield sign that's supposed to. The way that the people from the town told me is like the 150-mile-an-hour winds couldn't bend this sign. Well, this creature bent it right in half. Boom. Okay. Now the creature gets up. My brother-in-law hits it with the high beams. I'm sitting outside the moonroof looking at it. It's like surreal. It's like in slow motion. The creature limps over to the police car, looks dead at the deputy in the police car, and with a hammer punches the front of the car and screams right at the bloody murder. The back of the car comes off the ground.
No.
And we're sitting there like this, like, oh my God, and it limps off into the swamp. Now, back then, the deputies used to carry the shotgun in between them.
Yes.
And he could have easily reached that shotgun and shot through the window. At this point, the sheriff comes down the block. He sees the car totaled in the middle of the street. It's like, what the hell happened? The deputy's giving him a report. He wants a report from us because we witnessed it, right? I guess for insurance I don't know.
How do you go to make an insurance claim that Sasquatch just wrecked my vehicle?
I mean, he was taking our statement, so we were giving him the statement. And then at this point, the cattle rancher comes racing up the street in his pickup truck. And he says, you got to come see what this damn creature did to my prize bull. And I'm thinking, what could this thing done to this bull? This bull was a monster. It's like the size of a minivan, So we take off with the sheriff. The sheriff takes off. We follow the sheriff, and we get to this guy's ranch, this cattle rancher, and the sheriff has got his spotlight, and he's crossing across the pasture, and there's this bull bleeding out with no head in the middle of the pasture. And then he finds the head. It's like 100 yards away at the other end of the pasture.
Oh,
and this
my.
creature ripped this. That's what we heard scream. When this creature ripped that bull's head off, that was the scream we heard. That was blood curdling. Yeah, and he ended up taking a couple of shots at the creature with his shotgun as well. But I don't think anyone ever hit him. And then the next thing you knew, there was like town police and county police and state police and helicopters and horses and dogs, and they searched the swamps high and low, and they never found anything. And that whole summer, we're watching this stuff go down on TV, right? There's reports of skunk apes all over South Florida. Every night there's somebody on the news being interviewed, cops, state police, county police, residents, peeping toms. There was a peeping tom, all of this stuff. And so we thought, they would come and interview us. No one ever came to interview us. It was like it never happened. We went and got the paper the next day. We looked in the paper for anything, and we like 3 different papers. Nobody had anything on anything. I don't know why it wasn't reported, but that was my first experience with Bigfoot. Yeah,
no
and I'm telling
kidding.
you, this creature was 9 feet tall, at least 900 pounds, okay? And the way I got that is my sister's fence was a 6-foot fence to keep the dogs in from jumping over. And this creature was head and shoulders above that fence, So, and I'm just going like 100 pounds per foot. So if he was 9 feet tall, he was a minimum of 900 pounds.
That is absolutely incredible. Because,
yeah, it was insane.
Because we hear of these creatures, in the South, from Louisiana all the way over to Florida, that they are mean, they are aggressive, they are pissed off for some reason. Not like we have here in the West Coast from Northern California up to Alaska, where these creatures seem a lot more docile.
Yeah, no, this thing was, I don't know if it was the fires that pissed it off or what, but you could hear it scream in the swamp where we used to go horseback riding, when we used to ride our dirt bikes. We used to have bonfires in there. And this thing would just scream bloody murder at night, and the dogs would go nuts. I mean, every dog in the neighborhood would lose its mind, and I mean, we stopped hanging out in the swamp, of course, at night, We're like,
no
the hell
kidding.
with that, yeah.
Now, for people who haven't heard a Sasquatch roar/scream, I've heard it once. And I will tell you, I have, and this was probably 100 feet behind me and 3 friends. I have never heard something so blood-curdling in my life. And the one thing that intrigued me about it, and I don't know if you noticed it or not, did you notice that it didn't echo?
No, I didn't. I didn't know. All I know is that I felt it vibrate through my whole body, from my toes to my chest to my head. I mean, I felt like it was going right through me, just like every fiber of my body was vibrating. And it was scared the living crap out of me. I had nightmares for like 2 years, after that. Even though I was living in New York, in the city, I was still, afraid that this thing was going to come and reach through my window and grab me,
Right.
It took about 2 years to get past that, yeah.
And this thing had the same human type, large footprints.
Oh, yeah, it had big footprints, yeah. There wasn't anything, they weren't webbed, they weren't clawed. It was just a big, like 18-inch footprint by I think it was like 9 or 10 inches wide, yeah.
I mean, that is just amazing. I mean, I've only ever seen one 18-inch print in the forest, and ours was about 18 by 9 inches.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, you feel really, really small when you see that.
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
go ahead.
If you try, like we found footprints in the woods. I wear a size 12, 13 boot. I'm a big guy, 275, and I step down next to it, and my boot doesn't even penetrate the ground, and this thing is in a quarter of an inch, a half inch. You know what I mean? So. How heavy are these things?
I know exactly with what you're talking about, because where we found the 18-inch print, It was on a gravel road. My buddy Mike found it. And it was on a gravel road that, around here where we have a lot of logging, these gravel roads get like hard concrete from the big trucks rolling on down them. And you could walk on this all day long and you're not going to see a human footprint. And for this creature, whatever it was, to leave a footprint in that, padded down gravel, that says something.
Yeah, that's a big boy. Absolutely, yeah.
As we got about 3.5 minutes to go here, this wasn't your only Sasquatch encounter.
No, that was just the first one. Yeah.
Tease us with another one.
Let's see. Let me think. We did it. I got a hot spot here that I go to, and we go there and we do our investigations and we do all kinds of experiments and stuff, and we were at this location at one point. I was with a friend of mine who was an alphabet agency guy, right? He wanted to come with us, and I was sitting there with him, and we do what we do to bring him in. We have our own little technique, and this creature came in. I had my back to it, and my friend kept putting up like the night vision goggles. And at first he looked up and he says, "Al, there's a 7-foot Sasquatch about 25 feet behind you, peeking out from behind a tree." And I said, "Don't worry about it. We're good." Okay. And then 5 minutes later, he'd put it back up and he said, "Al, that Sasquatch it's belly crawling over to you. It's behind a bush. It's about 15 feet away." I said, "Don't worry about it. We're good." In the meantime, I got all kinds of cameras going, but they're all pointing in the wrong direction, of course. And so then he pulls it up the third time, and he's like freaking out. He's like, "Al, this thing is like 7 feet behind you. I think we should leave." And I was like, "Don't worry about it. We're good. This is the sacred site. We've never had any issues here. We're good here. We're safe here." And it's just a scout coming in, seeing what we're doing, And then
What do you mean, scout?
I felt that it was a scout that came down off of the high ridge to see what we were up to at that location.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Because it was just one, and he was coming in, and like I said, if he was 7 feet behind me, he could have easily grabbed me and took me if he wanted me, but because I was calm, cool, and relaxed, I was trying to keep my buddy calm, he was like freaking out. He couldn't believe it because, to him, even through the night vision goggles, it was larger than life, But he said it looked to be about 7 feet tall, but he couldn't really make out a weight or anything. And I never seen it because it was behind me the whole time. When I did get up to try to maneuver one of the cameras to turn it nonchalantly to try to get a photo of it or a video of it, as soon as I hit that camera, it was gone in a blink of an eye. Boom, it was gone. Now I don't know if it took one giant step and jumped into the darkness, or if it just blinked out and ended up somewhere else. I couldn't tell you because I never seen it, but that's just one of many experiences at that location.
My God, that just sounds absolutely phenomenal, and I want to learn more about this location and how you were attracting them in, because for a lot of us out there, I'll put my hand up, right now, like for me, I know like my Sasquatch areas right now are both, I don't know if they're surviving, because of the forest fires. So I'm literally going to have to find an entire new area this fall. Because I don't think they're going to go back to that burned out area. So, it's something we need to talk about. We're going to continue the Sasquatch talk here on Spaced Out Radio. Our good friend Alfred Santariga from the beautiful state of New York is here. Makes one hell of a pizza, self-proclaimed. I want to try this. We're going to continue talking Bigfoot. We're going to get into some UFOs, aliens, and other monsters when we come back. Hello, John Poe. Yeah, the bears are kind of cool too. I love bears. I really, really love bears. Saw my first grizzly bears this year.
Oh, wow.
In the wild. A mama and two cubs.
Wow.
I'd never seen grizzly bears before, so in the wild, and it was amazing. I'd seen their bear crap before. it literally, if you want to ever see grizzly bear crap, up here they have these berries called rose hips.
Okay.
And the bears feed on them. So these grizzly bears up in the mountains were feeding off these rose hips, and it literally looked like somebody took about 8-10 cans of Campbell's soup of pumpkin orange, and dumped them into a big pile on the ground. It was the most hilarious thing. It's the only time I've really taken a picture of a piece of shit in my life, right? But, Alfred, I'm going to run my dogs outside. I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to mute you down, and I'm going to just empty the seat here. I'll be right back, buddy. All right, my friend. I am back. Put up there. This is great so far. We got just under a minute to go. Fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, and there's more to that story too. Like what happened to my friend that night. So he got zapped.
Well, let's get into that because I'm all into the zapping, man.
Okay.
All into the zapping. This is good stuff. Love Bigfoot talk. Oh, yeah. Love me some Bigfoot talk. All right. I want to say a big thank you to Ozzy Steve, Michael ×2, Fapster, Alicia, Black Dragon, Brian, and Murray for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to show your support of Spaced Out Radio here on a nightly basis. Thank you so much for everybody tuning on in. I see a lot of new listeners here who are friends of Alfred's. We are a live radio show, so that's why we do take commercial breaks, and we kind of stop the interviews at the top and bottom of the hour. So thank you for your support. Thank you to all the veterans out there who are listening in. We absolutely love you. Here's hour 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Abdominus. Abdominus is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with experiencer Alfred Santariga. He's experienced ghosts, paranormal, Bigfoot, Dogman, UFOs, extraterrestrials. He's run the gamut, and these are the stories we love to tell, that normal everyday people like you and I are having some extraordinary experiences. Alfred, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having me.
All right, you're telling this amazing story right before the break about you and your friend out looking for Sasquatch, and here it comes within 7 feet, but it gets weirder.
Yeah, we were, after it left, the area, the energy of the area changed, and so we called, Brian actually called me, and he was remote viewing the location, and he's like, I don't know if this means anything, but I'm seeing a blue flash, and I don't know what that means, but, look out for a blue flash. So like, okay, we'll look out for a blue flash, okay? But after that happened, the energy changed, and my friend wanted to investigate a different location. So I said, okay, we have like 2 or 3 different locations, and so I said, okay. So we packed up the gear, and what's weird is that the whole time we were there for hours. I like to do a day-night thing. I like to get in during the day and do all my experiments during the day, like a baseline thing. And then as the energy amps up, do all my experiments all over again and see how the energy changed, So as we were leaving, we got to hike down off this high plateau and down to the main trail, which is like a goat trail. And we have to go south to head to the next location. And I start going north. And I'm walking north, and then we walk maybe, 100 yards or so. And I say, wait a minute, stop. I'm going the wrong. I see the moon point, on the lake, and I'm like, I'm going the wrong way. So we turn and we start walking, and then his headlamp goes out. So then we changed the batteries on his headlamp. We walk another. After we change his batteries on his headlamp, we start to get back on the trail, and again we're going north the wrong way. And I'm like, and again I see the moon, and I'm like, wait a minute, stop, we're going the wrong way again. So we turn and we start to go south. Now my headlamp goes out. Like, what the hell is going on tonight? I can't think straight. The batteries are dying on us left and right. So we get to our next location, and we're in this swampy area off the Appalachian Trail, and I'm explaining to him this is a location where one night we were out there, the Sasquatches were actually attacked a group of coyotes, and the coyote ran over my foot, tripped me. I fell into a tree and dislocated my shoulder. This whole 9 yards. We're going into this long story about I dislocated my shoulder, and I'm being pulled off the trail. So I said, let's go off the trail. I'm being pulled off the trail. So we're walking deeper into the woods.
I want to quickly cut you off right there. When you say you're being pulled off the trail, was this psychically?
Yeah, just like something is drawing me off the trail into the woods. I feel like I'm being pulled there. I have to go there. This happens to me all the time. I don't know what it is or how to explain it. I just say I'm being pulled. Some kind of energy is pulling me off the trail. So we go off the trail and we go in maybe a quarter of a mile, and then we start finding all kinds of Sasquatch signs, tree breaks, arches, X's, and all this stuff. And this is a location that I've never been in before because I've never gone off the trail at this location. And then I get a gut feeling like, you know what? I feel like we're being drawn into something here. And I say, I think we got to turn around and we got to go back. I don't like the vibe I'm getting, And we're almost going down into a bowl. And I felt like, I don't know, I just got a bad vibe about being down there. So I got goosebumps now just talking about it. And so I turn him around. I said, come on, let's get out of here. And as we're walking out, he's very reluctant. He's like, no, look at all this stuff. I'm going to get all these pictures of all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, we'll get pictures. I'll bring you back tomorrow during the day. You know what I mean? Let's get out of here now. And I'm pulling him off. I'm pulling him out of the trail. He doesn't really want to go. He's fighting me, And we get back onto the Appalachian Trail. I'm on the actual trail itself. He's still in about 10 feet off into the wood line. He starts to come towards me, and he turns back and says, let me just get one more picture. And as he turns to get one more picture, we see this blue flash go off in the darkness.
Just like Brian had called it, remote viewing.
Right. And the next thing I know, this guy's knees buckle, and he comes down, and I catch him. And he falls right into my arms. I catch him. I lay him up against the tree. I go, what happened? He says, I don't know. Did you see that blue flash? I said, yeah, I seen that blue flash. He goes, something hit me. I got hit with something now. I don't know if they were trying to get me and they hit him by mistake or they were just, they wanted to hit him. I'm not sure, but he went down and we had to sit there for about 15 minutes so he could regain his strength. And then we got him. I got him up, and I said, okay, the night's over. We're going to get out of here. And I was telling him, listen, I think you just got hit with infrasound, and it could really damage your vital organs inside. I said, you go home tonight, and you're pissing blood. Go to the emergency room. Don't waste any time because this is not something to joke around with, And I called him the next day, and he said he was fine. He was a pretty well built man, so he could take a good shot, I guess. But it dropped him to his knees, and so that was. I mean, Brian called it, and it happened. And I don't know if we were being lured into a trap or if we were getting too close to a den, Maybe I was being pulled in there because I was feeling their energy and I was going towards this den. And then all of a sudden I got these bad spidey senses telling me, you know what, you should stop right about here and turn around, But that was the only time we ever got zapped like that but we weren't at the sacred site. We were off trail, so.
Yeah, I can totally see that happening. I've heard of that happening before. I haven't seen that happen in front of me or anything like that, but I mean, that is just something that I couldn't imagine what that felt like. And, I mean, that opens up the door, Alfred, to a lot of different ideas of what Sasquatch is. So the great debate is it a flesh and blood monster or is it a supernatural type being? I lead to the fact that there is something special about this creature. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm going with it. How do you feel about that great debate in the Bigfoot world?
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, my opinion on this creature has changed about 20 times over the years, but at this stage of the game and with all the experiments that we do, there's no doubt in my mind that this thing is supernatural. I mean, when it's here, and it's standing in front of you, yes, it's flesh and blood. There's no doubt about it. I'm not saying it's a ghost or a demon or anything like that. It's a flesh and blood animal, but I think it has the ability to go interdimensional and go from one location to another in the blink of an eye, if it has to. I also feel that a lot of times when hunters have these creatures in their sights, their crosshairs, and they disappear, I also feel that these creatures haven't actually disappeared. I think they just raise their vibration and they change the spectrum of light that they're in, and you can't see them anymore. I think if you're looking through a scope that's got night vision or ultraviolet capability, something like that, or even thermal, I think you'll still be able to see them. But how many hunters are going out with those kind of scopes?
Well, but that's the amazing thing, and we kind of brought this up on the show previously when talking about Sasquatch. How many people out there? How many hunters are out there every day looking for game, and they never encounter this? They never have an encounter. Like I mentioned as an example, my buddy Mark, who I go out in the forest with. I mean, previous to me showing him a Sasquatch footprint, didn't believe in the creature. Said, I've been hunting for 35 years. I've been a hunting guide. I've been a cougar tracker. I've been a wolf tracker. I've come across some of the most dangerous game in North America, and face to face, never have I seen anything to do with Sasquatch. I don't believe it's out there. Then I showed him a print, and it changed his entire focus. So, I mean, there's hunters that have been hunting 40, 50, 60 years out there who have never had an experience or had an encounter. Why are the experiences rare, or are they the fact that most hunters don't know what they're looking for, therefore don't pay attention?
I think it's a combination of both. I think when the hunters are out there, they're so focused in bagging a deer or a buck or whatever they're hunting for that day that they're not looking at the big picture around them. You know what I mean? And I also think that these creatures are very elusive. If they get the scent of a person, if they smell you or they see you, they're going to turn the other way and go the other way. They know we're dangerous. I got two dear friends of mine. One guy I played football with in high school. All right, that's how far back we go. Both big hunters. Both broke my chops for years about Bigfoot. I can't tell you how much they broke my chops about it. Then one day, one of my friends, John, he's hunting in the swamp where he's hunted his whole life. Never seen anything. He's been hunting for 40 years. He's bow hunting in the swamp. He's up in a tree stand, and he hears splashing around about 100 yards away. And he looks through his rangefinder to see what's splashing around, and looks like a bear in the water, like digging up like turtles or something, And then all of a sudden, he's looking at it. And at that point, we had a lot of rain that summer, that fall, and the swamp was really high. The water was high, and he said all of a sudden this thing stood straight up, sniffed the air, turned and looked at him. And he said it wasn't a bear. He said it had to be about 12 feet tall. He said the water only came up to its waist. And he said it walked, once it caught wind of him, it turned and walked away from him. And he said he walked through that water like you and I walk along the sidewalk. Like the water wasn't even there. He lives, he's my neighbor. He came by one night. He was all out of his skin. He couldn't believe it. It's like, dude, you're not going to believe what I seen today. I can't believe it. And all he had was a bow. So he couldn't get out of the woods fast enough, you know. Then another friend of mine, who's the guy I played football with, he's got property in Pennsylvania, and he's out there hunting one year. He's sitting in this camouflage with his 30-06, and he's, you know, leaning up against a tree, and he hears something on top of the mountain whoop. Once, twice, 3 times. He's like, what the hell is that? And then all of a sudden, he says something comes running out of the swamp like a freight train, just barreling, taking trees down, running. He's sitting there with his gun in his hand. He says, and this thing literally ran right past him. He said it had legs like tree trunks. He said it ran up the mountain, and when it got to the cliff of the mountain, it just jumped from here to there to there. And he said, in like 30 seconds, it was up over the top of the mountain. It was gone. He said, I said, what did you do? He says, I didn't do anything, man. I just held my gun close to my chest. He goes, I couldn't believe, my eyes couldn't believe it. You know, my brain couldn't comprehend what my eyes were seeing. He said, Al, it had legs like tree trunks. He said, and it ran right past me. It actually looked down and seen me in my camouflage leaning against the tree and just ran right past them.
Like it didn't even care.
It didn't care.
I want to ask you because, you know, this creature, for being so large, we associate large human beings as being very loud, very, you know, heavy-footed. You know, in the case of our listener Fap and the size of his head, you know, people who can't get through doorways very well, you know, very uncontrollable. That's kind of the way we look at it. We make fun of it, you know, but hell, I'm someone who is very clumsy as well. That's probably the word I'm looking for.
Right, absolutely.
And yet these creatures, whatever they may be, all right, and I believe there's something supernatural with them, as I stated earlier, they can get in and out as quickly as possible. They seem to be faster than Usain Bolt. You know, they seem to, with their feet must have some special type of cushion on them, because they are rarely heard snapping branches when they're bolting or getting out, or even if they're sneaking up on you. They can be absolutely silent. How do you think they are doing that?
I just think they're masters of their environment. You know, I've had them come down and surround us and, you know, not hear them, not see them on any of the spectrums of light of the cameras we have. They come down and they surround, and you know when they're there because you hear the whistle, you hear the knock, you hear the hoot, and they're coming. And then I've had them come down at times where they're like, sounds like a herd of elephants. They want you to know that they're coming down and they're surrounding you, you know? So, I mean, like I said, when my friend said the thing was crawling up on me, a belly crawling up on me behind a bush, you know, and, you know, you wouldn't think something that big would be able to maneuver that stealthily, you know, on the ground, you know, but I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it crawl up on me. I didn't hear it come down the ridge or hide behind a tree or stand behind me, you know. I didn't hear it, you know, and we're sitting in the woods and my ears are wide open. I'm tuned in. I'm locked in. I felt it. I felt its energy behind me. I knew it was there. But, you know, I didn't turn to look because I knew if I would have turned to look, it would have ran. I didn't want it to run, you know, because my friend was getting that visual. You know, that's what he was there for. He wanted to see one with his own 2 eyes. And, you know, being an alphabet guy, you know, it's pretty hard to convince that they were real, you know, but he changed his ideas now, so.
Okay, well, Alfred, we got about 4.5 minutes before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. You know, I want to get into some Dogman with you because that ties into the searching for Sasquatch. At what point did you ever look at this and realize that this Dogman creature was real?
The first time I thought I knew they were real was I seen two of them. I was driving to work one morning, like 4:30 in the morning on the Parkway, and I seen two bipedal creatures come out from underneath the tree line, and they had glowing yellow eyes. And I'm the only idiot on the road at 5 o'clock in the morning. I stopped the Jeep in the middle of the road, and I looked, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and at first I thought they were Sasquatches. I really did, because they were so tall. They had to be at least 7 feet tall, and they were bipedal, and they're walking. They're coming out of the tree line, and they're in the meadow where a bunch, usually deer graze in that meadow, you know, around dawn, and they're in the meadow, and then all of a sudden.
Oh, we just lost Alfred. We'll get him right back here momentarily as we're going on. So, I mean, can you imagine running into a Dogman, just driving down the road, and there is this creature standing 7-8 feet tall, big snout, snarling at you? That is creepy. That is absolutely creepy as we wait for John to come back. Or Alfred, pardon me, and there he is right there. We lost you there for a second.
Yeah, I got knocked out of the box, it looks like, yeah.
That's all right. So getting into the Dogman thing.
Yeah, getting into the Dogman thing. I'm just trying to get this phone situated here.
There we go. You look beautiful right there.
Anyway, yeah, so I see these two creatures. They noticed me, and when they noticed me stopped on the Parkway, they dropped down to all fours, and then they started charging me, running towards me. And what made me think that these weren't Sasquatches, I seen its necks bobbing head going up and down, you know. Now, I've always had German Shepherds, and my Shepherds always run with their heads down, you know. So I knew that this wasn't a Sasquatch because they got no necks, you know. And they had me hypnotized. I was locked in. Like, I was just hypnotized by these eyes, and I'm just sitting there looking at them, and they're getting closer and they're getting closer, and then the little voice in the back of my head says, I think it's time to go, you know. And I punched the Jeep out, and it says I'm low battery. I don't know, I should be plugged in though. And I punched the Jeep out, and I got the hell out of Dodge, you know. And then I told Brian about it, and I went back and I investigated the area. And what I thought was just like a little piece of woods turned out to be a whole schmeal of stuff that was going on back there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. So how close were you to these two creatures?
At the closest point, I would say maybe 35 yards away.
That's not far.
Yeah, at the closest point, because they were coming, and they were coming quick, you know.
And they were running towards you.
Yeah, they were coming at me. They were like charging me.
Weird.
And I was just locked into their eyes, and I felt like I was hypnotized, you know, for that split second. And then I just got the hell out of Dodge.
What is the fear, as we got about 30 seconds, that goes through you when being in that situation?
You just don't know what you're dealing with. You know what I mean? You don't know. I mean, you know, that was my first encounter with the Dogman. I really didn't know much about it except for what I heard on like Vic Cundiff's show and stuff like that. So it was just, you know, it was an unusual experience because it was new to me. I didn't know how to handle it, and I never had that feeling before where something had me in its gaze and locked me in, you know?
Wow. Well, let's finish this. We'll continue with Dogman stories on Spaced Out Radio when we return. Our guest tonight, Alfred Santariga, experiencer, researcher out of the beautiful state of New York. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. All right, we're clear. Give me 1 sec. John Poe, the reason why the wrench has put you on a 300-second timeout was because you wouldn't let the subject go. We don't stop shows with planned guests to change topics in the middle of a show, especially to go to a press conference for an alleged alien experiencer who has no one show up in Washington, D.C. Whether it's part of a game or not interested in that when we have when the topic tonight is cryptids. So it's nothing against you. It's nothing personal. It's the fact that every now and again I just can't go there. Okay, during the show. So we're not going to drop a topic, and I'm not going to drop Alfred to get to some faux story about an alleged experiencer who calls a press conference saying aliens are going to arrive and nothing happens and no one shows up. So that's the way it is. It's nothing personal. We just got to let it go sometimes. And we're having a good time tonight with Alfred. We'll get back into UFOs here soon, and we'll go from there. All right. Troy says he loves your peacemakers in the background on the flag. Let's see.
Absolutely.
Joey, brilliant guest. So don't forget to hippity-hoppity off the like button, please, ladies and gentlemen. Cool. And Joe's Maine in California had a mountain lion screaming just to the north, and it's now gotten quiet. Oh, yeah, it's probably walking out of the area because it smells your feet, Joe. Just saying that. Or it saw your hair and realized that there is no way it could compete. Let's see here. And by the way, John, you're not blocked. You're not blocked. We rarely block people here, so just enjoy it. My wrenches have been told that we don't block people unless it's for things that are major. Major. So, let's go like this. And, where are we here? And wrenches, we got bigger things to worry about than false blocking someone there. So just, I've reinstated him, and we don't block for things like that. Did nothing wrong. Okay? Let's not be block happy. That kills the channel and kills the reputation of the show. All right? And in the end, I'm the one who makes the decisions. And we go from there. And Raul, see, that's the type of Raul. That's the type of crap. Okay, you've been banned a couple of times. That's the type of crap that is going to get you in trouble. I mean, I'm not understanding where you think that would be proper etiquette in my chat room. So, I mean, if you're just going to continue the politics BS and crap like that, we're not going to have you back here. All right? Come on, wake up. You don't make the rules here. I do. All right? You play by my rules. I don't understand where all of a sudden you think it's okay to question my judgment of what I allow in my chat room or not. It's not editing. It's not free speech. This isn't a free speech room, man. This is Daveocracy. Okay? This is Dave-unism, whatever you want to call it. I make the rules here, man. You know, and if I don't want crap like that in my chat room, we remove it. You know this. You continue to push the buttons, and I'm not quite sure why. I don't understand why I have to waste precious oxygen when I could be talking to my guest here for crap like that. If it's not important information on this show, okay? You and I have had that discussion. So you either go my way or go somewhere else. Unbelievable. Sorry, Al.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand, man. You got this, you know.
We passed the halfway point on Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you have missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Alfred Santariga. And this is a man out of New York. He's a researcher. He's had a plethora of weird, strange experiences that we continue to discuss tonight. And we're discussing Dogman right now because of the experiences that you had. So you had this encounter in your vehicle with two of these creatures. They're running at you. It's freaking you out. And I'm wondering, like, how long did this encounter happen? After they were chasing into your vehicle, like coming at you, what happened?
Yeah, I mean, once I pulled out of there, you know, and I got a good distance away. I kind of hit my brake lights to see if they were still chasing me coming down the parkway, you know. And I seen them stop just before they got to the road, and they both turned to the left, and they ran north up the parkway towards the woods. I don't know if they caught wind of a herd of deer or whatever. I mean, I'm sure that's what they were probably hunting originally, you know, from that tree line. But they stopped chasing me and they ran north. And then I told Brian about it, you know, and I was like, dude, you know, I had the weirdest experience, you know, and I told him, and he goes, oh, you got to go back. You got to investigate. You got to go investigate. So I said, okay. So I said, I'll go back. That was like early in the week. And I said, okay, I'll go back on Sunday on my day off. And then I noticed that the very next day there was a truck in the meadow, and it was one of like the Environmental Protection Agency trucks, you know, and it was just sitting there, and there was nobody in it, and it was there in the morning when I went to work. It was there in the morning when I came home. It was there for like 3 days, and then it was gone, and then there was another kind of state truck there that had something to do with like the natural resources or something like that. You know, I forgot what the abbreviation was on it, but it was another environmental kind of truck, but it was a different truck. It was white, and it was like one was a pickup, one was a green pickup, and one was like a white Ford Bronco or something. And it was there, and there was never anybody in these trucks. And I was like, what the hell's going on with these state trucks? There's nobody ever in it, but they're always there. They're there when I leave. They're there when I come home from work. They're always in the same spot. So then Sunday rolls around, and I go back to the location, and Brian said, I got to investigate. So I go and I investigate, and I go to the tree line, and I measure the distance from the bottom of the tree to where the first level of branches are. And it's about 7.5 feet high. Now, that's where the tractor cuts underneath the trees, so I could see them trimming the trees so the tractor can get underneath it. And then I follow that little bit of wood line to a stream. I go down under the stream, and there's people fishing in the stream, and they're telling me, yeah, the state puts bass or trout or something. They fill the stream up every year for people to go fish, So I'm thinking, okay, you got all these fish and everything the state's putting in this stream. So then I follow the stream to the next location, which is this giant lake. And I come to this giant lake. It's got a condo complex around it, but still, it's a wooded area. And I'm thinking, okay, you got frogs and turtles and geese and all kinds of stuff in this water. And I keep going. I'm walking west towards my house, and I'll keep going. And then the next thing I come across is this giant cornfield. Again, now you have corn equals deer equals predators, So what I thought was just a little patch of woods turned out to be, an extensive feeding area with all kinds of different animals and food sources, So I was a little taken back by all of that stuff once I figured it all out,
This isn't the first time that you've had an encounter with this creature. And I got to tell you, after talking to Jody Cook last night and then you about the Dogman tonight, I don't know if I ever want to come across one of these. It just scares the daylights out of me that this animal just is there for pure intimidation.
Yeah, I had one come to my house, and I got the message, put it that way.
What?
Yeah, we were at a location, and we got bluff charged, okay? And we thought it was the Sasquatch that bluff charged us. But after we developed some of the photographs, the thing that was on the other side of the wall looked like it had a pit bull head with pointed ears. So obviously it wasn't a Sasquatch. It was a Dogman that bluff charged us one night. But I was being drawn back into the swamp. I was being drawn to the swamp, and I said, okay, I got to go. I'm being drawn. I got to go. So Brian and the camera guy, Bill, came with me, and we went back to the swamp. And just I was getting close to the location. I must have got hit with some kind of infrasound or something because I started to overheat, and I had to they wanted me to turn around and go back, but I was so damn close to the location, there was no way I was turning around. So I drank some water, and then we got to the location, and we're hanging out around the swamp, and we're up on a ridge looking down into the swamp, and we're not seeing anything. It's like we got blinders eye. We can't see shit, and I'm like looking around. So something tells me to go down to the swamp and jump on this giant rock. I jump on this rock, and I move the cattails with my walking stick, and there in the swamp is a pathway leading right into the center of the swamp. You can see footprints going right into the center of the swamp. So Brian jumps on the rock. Bill jumps on the rock. Bill zooms in with his camera into the swamp. And it looked like from where we were, just an overgrowth of trees. But when you zoomed in with the camera, you could see it was actually a den. Something had built a den in the middle of the swamp. And then we really looked at it. You could see like a large canine head, like a wolf's head, looking to our right. Looking directly at us was a creature that looked like a hyena snarling at us. And I swear to God, we got these pictures on the site. You can go check them out. Then there looked like two little Sasquatches in the den. And next to the Sasquatch looked like the creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't know what it was, but this was all in this one den, okay? Now, after we see all of this, all of a sudden the blinders are off, and we're finding X's and arches and bends and breaks, and there was even this like thing set up almost like a corral, like where you would chase deer into this like penned-in area and then ambush them. It looked like a corral to me. Like it was definitely made to funnel like herd of animals in. And so then I started walking along the ridge line. And as I walked into the ridgeline, I got up above the swamp. I could see there was a trailway coming out of the back of the den and walking straight down the middle of the swamp. Okay, so like all this. So this is what I'm being pulled into the swamp for, to find this den, And then a couple of weeks go by, and I'm in bed sleeping, and it's a cool fall night, and I don't usually sleep with my bedroom window open because I'm a city guy. We don't sleep with the windows open. But it's a cool night. I got the window open, and my cat is laying between me and my wife. And all of a sudden, I wake up in the middle of the night, and I feel like there's something on the outside of the wall in my backyard. And the cat wakes up, jumps out of the bed, and runs upstairs to the kids' room. Now, I look out the window, and I can't see anything. It's pitch black in the yard, but I could have sworn I heard something sniff. Okay? So now I grab my pistol grip shotgun, and I start to walk towards the backyard. I'm walking through the living room to get to the kitchen to open up the sliding glass door to go to the patio to put the floodlights on. And as I turn the corner, a little voice in my head says, "Stop. You don't want to see what's out there. Turn around and go back to bed." So, this is not in my nature. I'm usually that guy that goes and looks. I stop. I turn around and go back to bed. I lock the window and I go to sleep. Next day, I go to work. I come home from work. I go in the backyard. We had just laid a new line, pipe down for the well, right? So there was no grass. It was all dirt underneath my window because that's where the lines ran under my window. And right under my window are 4 claw marks in the dirt, like something saying, "Yeah, I was here." So it was like, okay. So I took pictures of them, and I took pictures of the window. I said, "Okay, you were here. I got you. I was at your house. You were at my house." A couple of days go by, and I get up to go start the car in the morning because I always let the car warm up in the morning. And I always carry a little 6-inch pocket knife and some pepper spray because we got coyotes here and wild dogs, and I don't want to be attacked and not be able to defend myself. So I go start the car up, and my car is the first one in the driveway. There's 4 cars deep, and I look underneath my deck, and it looks like there's something under the deck. And I'm like, what the hell is under my deck? So as I get closer I'm walking past my wife's car, my son's car. I'm coming up on my daughter's car, and the floodlights go on, so I'm being blinded. So I'll do one of these to see what's under the deck, and I see this giant canine head under my deck, and it looks like it's got a mane. And again, the little voice in my head says, "Stop right here," So I stop, and I start to back up, and I was like, okay, what do I do? Do I go in the house and get the gun, come out shooting? But I've heard tons of stories where if you go to war with these creatures, it doesn't end well for you, So I said, you know what? Before that happened, I had opened up the sliding glass door to feed my outdoor cat, Callie. She's like 7 pounds soaking wet. I opened the sliding glass door, fed Callie. Now Callie's coming around to use my wife's garden to use the bathroom. She sees whatever this thing is under the deck, and she goes running into the woods. She sounded like a bulldozer, a little 7-pound cat running through the woods. She couldn't get out of Dodge fast enough. So I go back in the house, and I say, you know what? I'm not going to go to war with this thing. I'm not going to wake everybody up and freak everybody out in the house. Everybody knows where the guns are. Everybody's has been trained on the firearms. If anything goes down, my son is here. My son-in-law's living here with my daughter. We got enough firepower to defend ourselves. So I don't tell anybody anything, and I go to work. Come home from work that day, and I go, as I'm leaving to go back to the car, I take my tactical flashlight with me, and I look underneath the deck to see if there's anything under there, right? Because I couldn't see before, and I don't see anything under the deck. But I go under the deck anyway and take a look. And I had just put new retaining walls up to hold my front deck up. And my whole retaining wall, something had urinated on my wall. And it had this oil slick going down my new retaining wall, which kind of pissed me off because it was a brand new wall. And I was like, okay, it just marked its territory, And then I go to work. And my wife calls me at work and screaming and yelling. And I go, what's the matter? What's the problem? And she says, I opened up the sliding glass door in the back to feed Callie, and the whole door fell out of the frame. If Nicholas wasn't there to catch it, it would have crushed me. And I was like, what are you talking about? I opened the door at 5 o'clock in the morning to feed Callie. It worked fine. and then I locked it back up. She goes, well, when I went to open it up, it was out of its tracks. Now, I don't know if this creature went around, when I was in the front, if it went around the back and tried to pop the door out of its frame, or what. But my sliding glass door has like 3 different locks on it. It couldn't get it out of its frame until you actually unlocked it, and then it kind of fell out. So I told my wife, just put it back, just have Nick put it back up, lock it up. Tomorrow I'm off, and I'll relay the tracks, and I'll put the whole door back in. This way everything is good to go. And that was its way of telling me, you know where I live, now I know where you live, and let's leave it at that. And I got the message loud and clear.
Oh, God. That thing was almost trying to get into your house.
I think it was trying to say, listen, if I want to get in, I don't have to come crashing through this glass door to get it. I could pull the whole damn thing out of the frame. I think that's what it was trying to tell me,
Do you think that this creature is curious about you, your intentions, your understanding, this particular one?
I think because the night it bluff charged us, I was the first guy in, like, we made like a triangle kind of thing, and I was the first guy in the triangle, and I was the guy who kept saying, no, let's not leave. I'm not ready to leave yet. I'm not ready to leave. Like, Bill was ready to go right away, and then when Brian got a boulder thrown at him, and he was ready to go, but I kept saying, not yet. I feel like there's still more to come, Let's not leave just yet. And then after we got bluff charged and we held our ground,
right?
I guess it got frustrated because we were so close to the den. We didn't know there was a den in the swamp. You know what I mean? That wasn't our goal that night to investigate the den. We were totally focused on a different area, But we just happened to be up on a ridge above the swamp, and I think it felt like we were just too close to its house.
Did you get a sample of that urine?
No, I didn't get a sample of the urine. No, I was thinking about it though, getting a cotton swab and swabbing it, but I said the hell with it. I washed it off with pneumonia because it was stinking up the place.
What did it smell like?
It smelled bad. It smelled like pneumonia. You know what I mean? It was bad, and it was oily, very, very oily, and there was a lot of it.
Wow. I mean, I would assume, and please correct me if I'm wrong, for you, the way you investigate, because you have had a lot of your own experiences, you're much like me, where you don't care about what the community says or other researchers say. You're not about the evidence as much as you are about seeing what goes on with your own eyes.
Yeah, you know what? Our psychic always reads our locations before we go in, and she tells us what to expect. And whenever we go in, that's the furthest thing from my mind. I don't go in looking to find what she told me I'm going to find. I just go in and say, whatever's going to happen, happens. And, like I said, I get gut feelings. I get vibes. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. I don't claim to be psychic by any stretch of the imagination, but I get vibes. And, sometimes I'm drawn to one location. Sometimes it tells me, don't leave just yet. There's still more to come, Sometimes I hear that little voice that says, get the hell out of Dodge, So that's how I investigate. I'm not really a researcher. I'm more of an investigator and an experiencer,
Yeah,
I do a little research as possible.
And that's the kind of thing that I do. And I can respect that, okay? And I like the fact that you say you're not a researcher. You're a guy who's trying to find answers to his own experiences. And, like, when I go out in the forest looking for Sasquatch, I don't have a camera. I probably might see some more things if I actually had a GoPro or something along those lines. But for you, it's about getting yourself in that situation, whether it's to communicate or to create the experience and make it happen. and test your own wills with it. Like, I know when I saw the aliens in the forest with Samantha Mowat back in 2014, I would give anything to have that situation, because I think of myself as being more mature now, and I would literally walk up to them with her, like she wanted to do, rather than me, standing there frozen saying, you're not going, and please do not leave me here, begging her to stay. And I see that about you, and I read that about you, and, a lot of people listening to this may say, well, this guy's an idiot. How do we trust his stories when there's no evidential proof? But you're not about the proof, because as experiencers, you are more about, figuring out what's going on with you than the actual research world. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I started the Bronxville Paranormal Society to help people who didn't know where to turn. You know what I mean? I figured we don't charge for our services, and if there's a lot of people out there that just don't know where to turn or what to do in certain situations, that's how we started it, and all the other stuff that came along with it, the Dogman, the UFO stuff, it just came naturally, one thing led to another, and we just progression right down the line, especially when you experience this stuff. Once you experience something that, your mind can't comprehend, you want to learn more about it. What the hell was that, and why am I seeing it, I thought all my crazy experiences as a kid growing up was normal until I started telling my friends about it, and they were like, "Al, that's not normal, bro. That's only you're dealing with shit like that. Nobody else, But like, my brother is a parapsychologist, and he's been doing research for 50 years, and he's had a handful of experiences compared to the stuff that I have,
No, I definitely hear you there. We've got about 2 minutes to go here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Alfred Santariga is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. With this experience with Dogman, in the end, do you think they're from here? Do you think they're a created creature on this planet, or do you think they come from somewhere else?
I personally, my opinion is, I think there's 3 different types. I think there's the flesh and blood animal that's always been here, whether you want to call them lichens or whatever, Anubis or whatever you want to call them. I think they've always been here, like the Sasquatches. Then I think there's one that may be interdimensional, that comes and goes. Maybe it comes here to hunt. I don't know. And then I think there's actually demons that take the form of these creatures because they know what scares people. When I hear stories of people shooting at these things point blank and the bullets go right through them and it doesn't hurt these animals, to me, that can't be anything flesh and blood, because even the ones I feel that are interdimensional, I believe when they're here, they're flesh and blood. And if they're flesh and blood, they can be injured and killed like everything else on this planet.
Well, who knows if they actually can be. That is the great mystery that we will continue to have here. But for you, in 45 seconds, can you tell us, what's your advice to people who may encounter one of these Dogman creatures?
Intent. Your intent. It's all about intent. Respect its wherever it is. Its territory. Back away. Don't turn and run. That's the last thing you should do, is turn and run. Just back away and let it know that, hey, listen, man, I'm not here to harm you. I'm not looking for any trouble. I'm just, moseying down the road. I think it's all about intent.
That makes a lot of sense. And communication. Don't make eye contact, but don't take your eyes off the creature, in other words.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of people say don't make eye contact, but if I'm dealing with something like that, I'm not taking my eyes off it, That's just who I am,
I hear you there. You're more badass than me, my friend. Alfred Santariga is our guest. We have him for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. And when we come back, we're going to get into UFOs, aliens. What's going on? Why do the Greys love to rub Alfred's top of his head? I don't know. We're going to find out anyways. Spaced Out Radio continues with Hour 3 next. And the Magic 8 Ball as well. We'll be back. All right, buddy, we're clear. I just got to open up the window here. Hold on.
Go for it.
There we go. Nobody should ever be made into a Mets fan. Ever. You can't respect baseball if you're going to go down that road.
So who's your favorite Yankee of all time?
All time? I'm a Jeter guy.
You're a Jeter guy.
I'm a total Jeter guy.
Yeah, it's hard not to be a Jeter guy. He was a phenomenal player, yeah.
You know, he just epitomized baseball.
Yep.
The good American kid, that aw shucks, I can't believe I'm a baseball player attitude. Even though he made hundreds of millions from baseball, I mean, you could tell when he was at the plate or he was playing in position, he never took that contract for granted. He wasn't like A-Rod, where you never knew what you were going to get and whether or not he wanted to be a baseball player that day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, he never took that bat off, that's for sure.
No.
Or a play off, absolutely not, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I just, just everything about him and the way he carried himself on and off the field. There was never any drama. There was, nobody ever accused him of steroids. Nobody ever accused him of cheating. And I wish more athletes in any sport had that I'll do anything to win attitude like Jeter had. And, today's athletes are, it doesn't matter whether it's hockey or basketball or anything. They're so me now. And Jeter is just in my opinion, is just the epitome of what a baseball player was, and is.
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
And to be honest with you, he was the perfect Yankee.
Oh, absolutely. He was a phenomenal player. Just a great role model. Just all around good guy.
Yeah.
And he still made all his money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He still made more money than God. He still made it all, and he was still humbled.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I covered a lot of athletes over the years in my years in sports, and I'll tell you, I never covered a lot of baseball because in Vancouver, obviously, we don't have a major league team. Here's an interesting Yankee fact for you. I was Nick Swisher's first ever professional interview.
Awesome. That's very cool.
I was.
That's very cool.
When Swisher was drafted by the Oakland A's in the first round, Oakland's single-A summer league team was in Vancouver. And he got off the bus, and I went to him because he was an impressive collegiate player. And I went up to him, and I was his first interview.
That's great.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of
that's a little tidbit for you, right?
Yeah, that's all I got, man. That's
a good nugget, but that's a good nugget, man. That's a good nugget.
Now he obviously, if I ever ran into him, he obviously probably would not remember it.
You never know. He just may. That first interview as a kid getting off the bus. It may, that usually sticks with kids.
Yeah. So. Anyways, I loved Jeter. Jeter was just, he wasn't a jerk like Barry Bonds or Bobby Bonilla or, even Albert Pujols, the way he treated, St. Louis when he left St. Louis and, trying to play the God factor that, God told him that St. Louis wasn't paying him enough money and therefore he had to leave. I don't like that stuff. Just, anyways, we got 15 seconds. Big thank you, Brian ×2, Ozzy Steve ×2, Noble Patrick, Michael ×2, Fabster, Alicia, Black Dragon, and Murray for the amazing super chats. Here we go, everyone. Oh, yeah, this is a long break. I apologize. I forgot. We got like 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
No, I never did interview Derek Jeter. Hi, gorgeous Susan B.
I never met him either, but I was a Bobby Mercer kid.
I could see that.
Yeah, I loved Mercer. He was my man growing up. When the Yankees were horrible, it was just him and Thurman were the only two good players on the team,
See, being in Vancouver, we saw a lot of Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Jr. was amazing.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal athlete, absolutely.
I don't like how he left Seattle, but that's a different conversation. Hold on, here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Abdominus. Abdominus is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Alfred Santariga. We got him till the bottom of the hour. This is a man who has experienced Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Dogman, gnomes, paranormal, ghosts, and now we're getting into his UFO experiences. Do you remember your first UFO, Alfred?
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell me about it.
10 years old. Me and my best friend Richie were sitting on my father's garage roof. He had an A-frame roof. And we were watching the sky. We had a little radio up on the roof, listening to some rock and roll come out of the city. And we seen these 3 points of light dancing in the sky. And I said to Rich, watch this. And I jumped off the roof and I ran into my father's garage. And I got this big flesh that he used to go crabbing with. And I did like a Morse code. And after I did that, these 3 points of light stopped. And then Richie did it. And they did it back, and then I did it again, and this one dropped down from like the height of a star to just above the air traffic that was flying in the city, and it just came straight down, boom, and it was right there, and of course it scared the crap out of me and Rich. We jumped off the roof and ran under the bed and hid under the bed for an hour thinking we were going to get abducted, My father had to drag us out of the bed. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing under the bed, like UFO, UFO, And he was like, no UFOs. There's no such thing. Go to bed, get to sleep, And but, I mean, we were like, 10 years old, something like that in the 5th grade. And, my brother always had all these books in the house. My brother was the researcher. My brother had books on everything, and I've read everything he read. I read, So whether it was about Sasquatch or Project Blue Book or whatever, So, I knew about them, so my friends knew about UFOs, So that was the very first time I ever seen anything. Yeah.
So for you, I mean, I didn't see my first UFO until I was 21. But for you, seeing it at a young age, did you immediately believe? I mean, I can see the excitement in the sci-fi because as kids we believe anything. But did you think there was more to it?
Yeah, you know what? I never doubted it. It was very weird because I used to get up in the middle of the night and sleepwalk. And my father would say to me, like he'd be watching Johnny Carson, right? And he'd say, "Where the hell are you going?" Because I'd be taking these giant steps. And I go, "I'm going home." He goes, "What do you mean you're going home?" He goes, "I'm going to the moon. That's where I'm from. I'm going home." I used to tell him like that. And he would turn me around, kick me in the ass, and send me back to bed. And, and I would always wake up with nosebleeds as a kid for no reason. And believe me, I got into a lot of fights as a kid. I went from an all-Italian neighborhood to an Irish neighborhood. And those Irish guys are tough. You know what I mean? So you had to prove your worth to them. And so I never got a bloody nose. Fat lip, black eye, never bloody nose. But I would wake up in the morning and there'd be blood all over my wall. There'd be blood all over the pillow. And my father would just say, "It's because you don't stay still at night. You hit your face against the wall." And I said, "Okay, if that's what it is, it is." But my nose never bled. I never got nosebleeds.
So you think you're a contactee as well, or an abductee?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen them in my bedrooms. Absolutely.
What's that like to wake up and all of a sudden have extraterrestrials in your bedroom? Tell us that story.
Okay, well, the long version of the first time I was in the bedroom sleeping, and I had a 125-pound German Shepherd sleeping at the foot of the bed. And I see the light go on, like a light come through my bedroom window in the backyard, which is nothing but 100 acres of woods behind my house. And the light comes through, and I have like this outer body experience. I'm out of my body, sitting on the head of the bedboard, looking down at me, watching two tall gray aliens hover me like they're taking me out the window. The window's closed. It's October. It's Halloween, okay? And they're hovering me out the window. And I'm thinking, why isn't this dog ripping him a new asshole? Because I just paid a fortune to get him canine trained, And at that moment, my daughter starts screaming in the next room. And I go back into my body. The tall grays disappear. The dog jumps up, runs into the kids' room. My wife runs into the kids' room. I run into the kids' room. And my daughter is wrapped around my son, who's like 5 years old at the time. And she's holding him down. And I go, "What's going on?" Now, my daughter was Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz that Halloween. And she says to me, "Dorothy was here taking my son Nicholas out the window, out to the light, to the light out the window. And she was fighting with Dorothy. She's saying, 'You can't take my brother,' And my son doesn't know what's going on. He's just laying in the bed crying hysterical because he doesn't know what's going on. And I'm trying to figure this out. It's like, why would Dorothy, maybe the Wicked Witch of the West, but not Dorothy. But then I started thinking about it. If they're going to appear to the kids, they're going to appear to the kids in something that's not going to scare them. And she was Dorothy that night for the Halloween. And so that kind of validated what I experienced, because if that didn't happen, I would have thought mine was just a dream, Mm-hmm. And the dog ended up sleeping in their room that night for the rest of the night. But, and that's a short version of a long story.
I got to ask you in regards to that, okay? I mean, it's every parent's worst nightmare that we can't protect our children, okay? Yet here you are trying to you're having this experience on your own. You hear your children all of a sudden scream. I mean, knowing that now Dorothy is probably Ock from Zeta Reticuli in a cover-up, I mean, how scared were you as a parent knowing this just happened?
I was pissed, to put it mildly. I was pissed. Yeah, wasn't scared. I was mad, very, very, very angry that they would, look, you want to come take me, by all means, whatever, but leave my children alone. That really pissed me off. Yeah.
So, as a parent, I mean, were you up all night trying to figure out what is going on, or up all night just in case they came back?
Yeah, we were up the rest of the night. Yeah, but I didn't think they were going to come back that night. No, I didn't get the feeling that whatever they were planning to do that night, they just kind of scrubbed it and moved on to another night. Maybe, I don't know, but I didn't get the feeling that they were coming back that night at that time. No.
Do you think your children are still being investigated or taken?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I hope to God no, but I can't honestly say that, my daughter's married now. She has her own house, and I don't know what's going on in her town. My son just graduated college. He's back home, and, he's another one that doesn't believe in anything, but sleeps with padlocks on the closet door, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean, there was another time where I had an experience where we moved downstairs to the spare bedroom when my daughter got old enough to have her own room. And we were downstairs in the spare bedroom. And again, I'm laying in bed. The dog is sleeping at the foot of the bed. The light comes through the window. I was going through a lot of issues with my knees. I had to get them both replaced, total knee replacements. And the light goes on. I wake up and I see two small grays in the room this time. And they're hovering over my knees and they're going like this. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, maybe these guys are going to fix my knees. I don't have to get the surgeries, And then they're moving towards me. They're moving closer and closer towards me. And again, I'm thinking, why isn't the dog waking up and, attacking these things? But at one point, I said to myself, I wonder if they can hear my thoughts. And when I said that, I looked at them to see if they looked at me. But they just kept doing their thing. And then one of them was getting really, really close to me. And the thought came through my head, you know what? These guys are small, scrawny guys. I'm a pretty big guy. I wonder if I grab this guy by his arm, if he would be able to make me let go. And when I had that thought cross my mind, they both went like this, ooh, and they blinked out. They were gone. So obviously they were reading my thoughts. They were just ignoring me until that thought crossed my mind.
I can see that. And I'll tell you, as you expand your consciousness towards extraterrestrials, the contact continues, doesn't it? It gets to the point where you don't know when it's going to happen or what is actually going to happen.
Oh, yeah. I recently had what I call an awakening. Brian calls an ascension. That just blew my mind. I mean, it just blew my mind. I was in bed sleeping, and next thing I know, I'm out of my body, and something is behind me, guiding me up towards the heavens. We're on this rainbow bridge that's got the brightest colors you've ever seen in your life, the most truest colors, and I'm seeing all these mathematical equations and the music notes and all this stuff. And then I start seeing people like Einstein and Bach and Beethoven and Tesla, and I'm seeing all these people, and this little voice, or whoever this is, this person guiding me up to the heavens, is telling me, tonight I'm going to tell you the secret to life, and I'm going to tell you the secret to the universe, and they're both one and the same. So I'm like, okay, I'm all ears. So as we're going up, he says the first thing he tells me is the first secret is vibration. So vibration is part of the secret. And there's 3 steps: vibration, frequency, and then they weren't really telling me the last part. And now we start to descend back towards my house, and I could see me coming down this rainbow bridge back to my house. And I'm like, oh man, this dude's not going to tell me the third thing. I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to know what the third thing is. And I'm like, what's the third thing? But I don't know who's talking to me because I can't see him. And he says the third thing is consciousness. So it's frequency, vibration, and consciousness. And then I said to this thing, man, this was a crazy dream. And he says, this is not a dream. He says, when the snow melts, you'll see a sign. Now, at that time, we had 16 inches of snow on the ground. Okay, a couple of weeks go by, the snow melts. In my backyard, behind I have a near yard and a far yard. In my far yard, behind my wall, there's a circle of quartz crystal stones around a tree. Don't know where it came from. Don't know how it got there. But something tells me this is your sign. This proves that wasn't a dream. So then I go over to the stones, and something tells me to touch the stone. So I touch the stone, and I can feel like a vibration in the stone. And then something tells me to touch the tree, and I can feel this vibration going through me and into the tree. So I called a few people that I know that are higher consciousness people, and I go, what the hell is this? I don't know what to do with this. And they told me it was a meditation circle that I'm supposed to, when I want to raise my consciousness to another level or whatever, or raise my frequency, to sit in this circle with my back against the tree and meditate. And I've never touched that circle. I left it right the way I found it, you know?
I can see that. Now, when you are having these encounters with extraterrestrials, are you having other experiences going along with that as well? Whether you're in the forest with Bigfoot or whether you got ghost action and paranormal action at home?
Well, yeah, because I like to stay busy anyway, so I'm always doing something. If I'm not, I have a friend of mine who's in the logging industry, and he has thousands of acres all over the East Coast. And whenever he goes to do like a clear cut, he always has Sasquatch activity. He knows exactly what to look for now because of me. And when he does stuff local, we usually go and we shoot our guns for a little while, to get the sights in. And whenever we go to any of these places, he says, look, I found this here. I found it. So we got like 5 different locations now that we got activity going on, with the Sasquatches. But I also have, there was a time once in 2012 where I seen a UFO every single night for a month straight. In the morning, when on the way to work, on the way home, I called my brother Frank in Michigan. I said, I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's going on. I'm losing my mind. I'm seeing UFOs. And I'm not the type of guy that every little light in the sky is a UFO. You know what I mean? I got to get a vibe. Like something's got to tell me, hey, look at me. This is important, And my brother actually found a group of people that was like like-minded ufologist kind of people that you could go and talk to and tell everybody your experiences, and that really helped a lot to be around people like that. And that's where I ended up meeting Brian. But I thought I was losing my mind. I literally thought I was losing my mind.
I want to ask you about that feeling because I understand exactly what you're talking about, that feeling where you just know that it is something different. A lot of ufologists may not understand that, or the audience listening. What do you mean by that little feeling?
It's a vibe. It's something just tells you to look here. This is important. Don't miss this. Don't, people say we miss signs all the time. There's signs all around us and we're just so oblivious to us. Well, this is like a red flag in your face saying, look at me, and then I look, and the next thing you know, something, incredible is happening in front of my eyes,
No,
I've seen
I understand
all different kinds of crafts and all different shapes and sizes, and I've seen all kinds of maneuvers and stuff like that, and it's just, it's mind-boggling. It really is.
So for you, as you understand when it's going to happen, Vayner is asking in the chat room, do you have any experiences with a will-o'-the-wisp?
No. No experiences with will-o'-the-wisp.
What kind of beings have you been around?
Spirits, shadow figures, the gnomes or the, what do you call those? The forest, the elementals. If I've been around the elementals in the forest, stuff like that. Never seen a ghost per se. I've caught them on photographs, but never seen one with my own two eyes. Been around a lot of spirit activity, stuff like that. And of course the Dogman and the Bigfoot and the aliens. I mean, we were in the woods one time with another Bigfoot group, and they were showing us their hotspot, and I was being pulled like way off into the woods, and I walked way off into the woods, and I says to the woman, "What happened here? Something happened at this location right here." Meanwhile, like the structures were way on the other side of the woods. And she goes, "Don't move. I want to show you something." And she pulled up her tablet she had, and she showed me a picture. She had taken a picture of an alien right where I was standing.
No.
And something drew me to that location where that alien was. She couldn't believe it. She almost lost her mind. And that day we found a 17-inch footprint, a Bigfoot footprint in the woods, and we casted it. I got that on my shelf.
No kidding.
Yeah, no kidding. I swear to God, I was like, when she showed me the picture of it, she goes, "What made you come to this spot?" I said, "I don't know. It's just being drawn here. I was pulled here, and when I got here, I felt like I had to ask you what happened here." And she said, we were taking pictures one day of the location, and we snapped a picture right where you were, and we caught an alien in it. Now, I don't know why I was drawn to that location with that alien thing. We just did a TV show for the Travel Channel, and they took my blood, and it turns out that it's RH negative, so I don't know if that's got anything to do with it, but...
Apollo was asking, has there ever been a Bigfoot or cryptid sighting within downtown New York City or any city that you know of?
Yes, I know of a Dogman in Central Park.
Really?
There was, yes, and I think there was a Sasquatch. They seen the Sasquatch swimming across the Long Island Sound from Long Island to... It was either into the Bronx or to Connecticut. I don't know how far east it was, but they someone seen the Sasquatch swim across the Sound.
Black Rabbit is wondering, as we got about 90 seconds, as far as you know, what is the agenda of the species which is responsible for your abductions? Have they let you know?
No. I wish they would let me know. I wish they would tell me what's going on. My theory is it's all about DNA. I think it's got to do with the DNA. But that's just one man's opinion.
1 minute to go, my friend. Show
Wow.
flown on by.
Wow. It was like a blaze. It just blew by.
I got to tell you, man, I have had a lot of fun getting to know you better and getting to know your experiences. I know we've been Facebook friends
forever, yeah.
Man. But to have you on the air and to share your stories, and a big shout out to Brian Bowden and his 18,882 podcasts that he does, because Brian really, really stressed that we needed to get you on Spaced Out Radio, and man, was he right. He was so right. Thank you, Brian, for that. Alfred, you're a class guy, and thank you for everything that you bring to the table with your experiences.
No, it was my pleasure. Absolutely. We just hit the tip of the iceberg tonight, man.
Well, that means we just got to do it again.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Quickly here, 10 seconds. Where can people find your work?
Facebook, the easiest place to find me. Bronxville Paranormal Society, New York State UFO Project, New York State Sasquatch Organization, North American Dogman Project, New York State chapter, or just PM me personally.
Appreciate it. Alfred Santariga, everyone. Great dude. Next, we have the Magic 8 Ball warming up. Yes, it's time for your predictions, psychic predictions of the 8 Ball, right after this. That's a great show, dude.
Oh, thank you very much.
Give you a few
I
claps.
enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. We didn't even talk. Brian wanted me to tell you about my devil worship, the devil experience I had, the Green Goblin creature that I seen. So those are totally
gives us another reason. What we'll do is in a couple of months, because I try and do things every couple of months and mix things up.
Absolutely.
Do you want to come on in October on a Saturday or Sunday with Lynn?
Yeah, I know we got some things coming up in October. We got a couple of symposiums coming up, so I just have to check the calendar.
Let me know, because you and Lynn would have a blast too, man.
Okay.
Yeah, you and Lynn, or we bring you back on with me, either or. It doesn't matter. I know you're comfortable.
Doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't matter. I'm pretty comfortable with anybody. I've been doing this so long. It's just like second nature.
Right on, buddy. I got to run here and get the news ready, but amazing show. And thank you. And you see Fap's comment there? Can we get you Yankees off the air finally?
Well, it was my pleasure, and thank you for having me as a guest. I greatly appreciate it.
We love you, man. Thank you so much. Take care.
Ciao.
Alfred Santariga, everyone. How good was that? How good was that? What a great show. Brian, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. You could tell that he would definitely silently admit that he's Chad Smith. Gorgeous Wendy Williams. There she is, everyone. She was hiding here. There's Chris Moe, all the way from Austria. How you guys doing? D. Ocean Swiger, how are you? You guys ready for some 8 Ball? Brian Bowden starting up the new podcast, I Am Chad Smith. It'll start running tomorrow. Owner, how are you? Good to see you. Ross Lambda, nice to have you here. John, I will. I promise you I will, okay? Block Chic, I am Chad Smith. We are Chad Smith. That might be our new t-shirt. We are Chad Smith. Hi, gorgeous Julie K. Magic 8 Ball. See? Remember that we have to warm it on up. Predictions are usually pretty good. Make sure you put all of your questions in yes/no type questions, and that they are in capital letters. Thank you, Oli. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Yeah, Jenny, I haven't even had a chance to read that. And yes, Apollo, I know what 8 Ball is short for. Jenny, I haven't had a chance to read that yet, and I'll let you deal with that. My only issue is that the rudeness that has been here the last number of times. And if there is something tragic that's happened, I wholeheartedly apologize. But, you know, it's just the way it is. I'm not going to be abused in my own chat room. All right, I feel that it is ready. Yes, Will Ferrell is also Chad Smith. No, unfortunately, my 8-ball does not glow in the dark. All right, boys and girls, let's have some fun here. Put your questions in capital letters, because we're going to get going here. Rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. It is that time once again where we warm up the Magic 8 Ball and take questions from our audience, because the Magic 8 Ball is the predictor of the future, and we like to do a little bit of woo around here every now and again. So let's start it off with Dee Swiger. She is asking, 8 Ball, will I get any kind of compensation for my place flooding 3 times in a week? Oh, that's terrible. Sorry to hear that, Dee Swiger. Let's find out. Levels are positive. Levels are positive that your insurance company is going to come through for you. So that's a good sign. Let's get you all better there, because that sucks. I'm really sorry that your place is not doing too well. By the way, you should make sure you get your house checked, the foundation checked as well. There may be some damage there. All right, Chris Moe in Austria is asking, will I sit on a starship next to Dave Scott sometime in the future? Not today, Sheriff. Not today. Sorry about that, Chris Moe, but our ride with aliens will have to come at another time. In Australia, Science Melinda is asking, oh, Magic 8 Ball, it's Ozzy's birthday tomorrow. Will he get to see the ghost of Levi's? The answer is, don't count on it. Don't count on it. Sorry, Ozzy, oi oi to you, but no ghosty of Levi tomorrow. Elvis, not Levi's, Elvis. Oh my goodness. Well, let's try that again. I'm going to chalk that one up to autocorrect. All right. Will you see Elvis tomorrow? No. Battery's low. Doesn't like that one. Sorry. Maybe it's because Elvis is still alive, somewhere working in a Chick-fil-A in Wichita, Kansas. I don't know. All right. Nicola is asking, will I ever see a cryptid in the Adirondacks? I'm going to tell you before I even shake the ball here, I have a good feeling about that. Not today, Sheriff. Well, we know it's not today. Is it coming in the future, Magic 8 Ball? Come on, be kind here. Intel looks good. In the future. Maybe a year or two. Not feeling this year. All right. Joey is asking, will Tipperary win this year's All-Ireland? Now, I don't know what that is. It sounds like soccer to me, which is making me feel a little ill because of my allergies to the not-so-beautiful game. Out of fuel, try again later. Doesn't look good, Joey. Put your money on the other team. All right. Peppa is asking, will Chad Smith win a fight against Chuck Norris? Ooh. I mean, the power of Chad Smith compels us. However, Chuck Norris is the ultimate. Censors read no. Chuck will kick Chad's ass. Plain and simple. Can the 8-ball from Julie, can the 8-ball hear ghost questions? No, it cannot. No, it cannot. Sorry. YJ is asking, Magic 8-ball, does the Sasquatch community sit around and tell UFO and alien stories? I think they do. Probably sounds a lot like, yeah, that's probably what it sounds like. But anyways, censors read no. I don't buy that. I think the 8-ball got that one wrong. Continuing on, Vanner is asking, Magic 8-ball, will we receive additional government funding to pay off our subscribers? Well, that's a good question. Will we receive government funding? I mean, we are in an election here in Canada, so I mean, maybe we could get the federal government to give us a grant of about $50,000, $60,000 so we can pay off a bunch of new subscribers. You know, I mean, why not? The alleged rumor is we already do, even though we never have, don't know how. But we like to play it up because it's kind of funny. Are we buying more subscribers, Magic 8-ball? It is decidedly so. We're going to get that grant from the Canadian government, and we're going to spend all of it, hundreds of thousands of dollars, in getting our channel up to 14,000 subscribers. Not 13, but 14,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's what we're going to do. Adam, will I ever find the perfect Volkswagen? No. You know why? You can save money, believe it or not, on figuring out where Volkswagen is buying the chassis of that vehicle and purchasing the North American model for about $25,000 cheaper. I don't even need the Magic 8-ball to tell you that, my friend. Don't buy a Volkswagen. You're paying for the name, and it's an expensive car when you could get the North American version for much cheaper since Volkswagen buys it, the chassis and the design off the North American companies. Just saying. We'll see what Magic 8-ball has to say. It is decidedly so. You will find it. Apparently, don't listen to me. Listen to Magic 8-ball. You're going to find that one. Ross. I can't go back in chat right now, my friend, to find your question. I apologize. Hector. Is Chupacabra a coyote? The answer is, as I see it, yes. I'm going to say that it's a coyote with mange. That's what I think it is. Let's see here. Behoff. Magic 8-ball, have we ever broken through the firmament? Okay, that's a flat earth question there. Let's find out. My sources say no. You know why? There is no firmament because the earth is round, not flat. All right, Davey, I can't ask that question on the radio, so I apologize. Block Chic is asking, hey, Magic 8-ball, will we hear about aliens on Thursday? Levels are positive. We always hear about aliens. The question is, will we actually hear about them, like from them? Or will we hear from them because we're going to be talking about them? All right. Tough question from SJ here. Is Dave Scott, that's me, actually Chad Smith, or is Chad Smith Dave Scott? The 8-ball is literally on one of its edges and will not answer the question there. I can't see that on our camera. Reply hazy, try again. The 8-ball can't tell the difference. I am Chad Smith. All right. Lazarus, 8-ball. Will the Steelers win the Super Bowl this year? You know, they got a kid from my hometown as one of their receivers. Should have been Rookie of the Year. Not today, Sheriff. Not today. Ben Roethlisberger is the king of the 7-yard pass. When's the last time you saw Ben Roethlisberger throw a 30-yard strike? Honestly. Time to retire, Ben. Fap is asking, can the Magic 8-ball fit one on my legendary head? All right. Can we fit the 8-ball in Fap's head? Sensors read no. It's not big enough. It'll roll right off. All right. Lynn is asking, do ghosts listen to SOR with the listeners? Magic 8-ball says, it is decidedly so. I agree. I think there are ghosts listening in. Probably sitting right beside you, Lynn. Did you offer it a coffee or some tea while listening to the show? Next time, try that out. Adam is asking, will I see Bigfoot around Banff in the near future? The answer is, reply hazy, try again. Not this year, my friend. Not this year. Not in the near future. All right, moving on here. Oh, let's see here. Life Dweller is asking, do the Sasquatch fear the Pukwudgie? Nice question, by the way. Pukwudgie's a small little critter. My sources say no. Sasquatch could step on him. All right. And let's see where else we are. Owner is asking, are Bigfoots coming from Mars with the same paranormal abilities? And the answer is, you have my pity in asking that question. I don't think the 8-ball is a fan of that question, to be blunt. D. Swagger, are we moving to 5D this autumn? All systems go, D. Swagger. Get ready for the move. Is the 8-ball from Texas, according to Block Chic? Don't count on it. No. Is the 8-ball Chad Smith from Davie? Signs point to yes. The Magic 8-ball has announced that it is Chad Smith. Yes, it does. I wish it would. I could show that on YouTube. And, all right. Let's go on here as we continue scrolling down. Polar Eclipse is asking, will Dave's ginormous head explode live on TV tonight? My head's not that big. I mean, it's only a quarter fap. Not even a quarter fap. Maybe like a 16th of a fap. All right. The answer says, it is decidedly so. So apparently the 8-ball's having fun with Polar Eclipse, excuse me, and saying that my head is going to explode sometime on this broadcast. Well, don't we appreciate that? Don't we appreciate that? Thank you, Magic 8-ball. All right, I think we're going to shut it down, the Magic 8-ball, for tonight, because it's starting to get a little snarky, which means it's time for Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR News Wire at the back end of every show. Where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the downright awesome. You know, the Olympic Games just ended in Japan, and there's a great story coming out of this. Polish Olympic athlete Maria Andrzejczyk has auctioned off her silver medal from Tokyo to help fund life-saving heart surgery for an 8-month-old boy. The javelin thrower beat bone cancer after being diagnosed in 2018 and went on to win the silver medal at the Games in Japan, following a 4th-place finish in Rio 2016. Andrzejczyk said she wanted to put her success to good use by auctioning off her medal to help a stranger in need, encouraging members of the public to put forward suggestions. The athletes chose the fundraiser for Miloszek, a young Polish boy who requires heart surgery at Stanford Hospital in the United States. The 25-year-old wrote on her social media pages, "It didn't take me long to decide. It was the first fundraiser I entered, and I knew it was the right one. Miloszek has a serious heart defect and is in need of surgery. He already has had a head start from Cubas, a boy who didn't make it in time for whose parents decided to pass on the funds that they collected." Now, the real cool part about this is, she goes on, "In a way, I also want to help. It's for him. I am auctioning off my silver medal." The fundraiser for Miloszek was looking for 1.5 million Polish zloty, or over 280,000 pounds, or about $300,000 American. And Andrzejczyk hoped to fund half of that amount by offering her medal. But here's the cool part. A Polish convenience store company called Zabka won the auction by donating or raising about $150,000. Future contributions have now taken the figure past the $160,000 target. And you know what Zabka, the company, did? They immediately gave the medal back to Andrzejczyk. How cool is that? That is humanity at its best right there. Humanity as its best. So, she does a good thing, all right? She puts her silver medal on the line to help a baby boy, and then the company, realizing how cool she is, realizing that they could save this child's life, buys the medal at the auction for $150,000, and then gives it back to her. That's humanity. Humanity 101 right there. It is a beautiful thing. And karma definitely went in her favor. And more importantly, that little boy's favor as well. God bless that little boy. Let's hope that he gets the heart surgery that he so deserves. All right, moving on. Oh, the humanity in this one. I can tell you right now, Dave may explode. Remember, it was just predicted that my head may explode during the show. This may cause it. All right. Faster than you could say Chrissy Teigen comes word of the latest thing that people want to cancel. The word curry. Not the actual food, but the word itself. South Asian food bloggers argue that the British colonial term is not only massively incorrect, but massively overused. Earlier this year, Chaheti Bansal posted a video on Instagram in which she called out the confusing word and suggested that we cancel the word curry as she cooked up some delicious grub. Yep, I have more important things to discuss, like canceling the word curry, she said, the voiceover. Okay, not in all cultures, but specifically in Indian cuisine, because I don't understand what the word means. Well, trying to be the hero, she says, to be fair, Bansal totally knows what the word means, whether it's referring to the powder used to enhance certain dishes, or when someone is attempting to curry flavor and ingratiate themselves by using flattery. What Bansal is referring to is the generalization of the word and lazy white folks who use the word because they don't know any better. Like there's a saying that the food in India changes every 100 kilometers, and yet we're still using this umbrella term popularized by white people who couldn't be bothered to learn the actual names of our dishes, but we can still unlearn. Curry isn't even South Asian. It was created by the British and has since become associated with dishes that are smelly, messy, and unrefined, says University of Vermont professor Elise R. Morgenstein-Fürst. Curry is one of those words that most historians attribute to the British bad ear, and explain that the British colonizers, those bastards, likely misheard the Tamil word curry, which could mean anything from blackened to side dish, depending on the region. Therefore, the cancellation is on for the word curry. Can you believe it? This is our society today. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What is the one paranormal or supernatural experience that you would love to have? Eric, I want to see a Bigfoot. Bobby, intentional out-of-body experience with full recall. To pop out and fly around at will would be fun. Chris, Dave Scott calls me and says, man up and get a plane ticket to British Columbia. I found a Sasquatch and he's in my meat locker. I want you standing next to me by the time the first press conference goes off so everybody can watch you eat crow. Absolutely, even though I'd never kill one. Jeff, fly the ship with the ghost of Mark Twain at my side. All right, Andrew wants to know about the truth about cats and then posts a meme of cats with alien sitting inside of them. And moving on, Ted, I'd like to have a very clear UFO sighting. Orion, flying in a UFO. Danny, definitely a close-range UFO landing with confirmation of ETs. Jeff, I heard sex with a ghost is amazing. Really? Oh, why not? What the hell? All right. Kimberly, travel into a parallel universe while still knowing what's going on here in this one. And Penman Michael McNeil wants to know what astral travel is like. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Thank you to Captain Shirk for the wonderful SOR Newswire tonight. And, of course, to Alfred Santariga for hanging on out, telling us all about his lovely experiences when it comes to the supernatural and paranormal. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone tuning us in on YouTube, LGAB, Twitch, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
we own the night. Almost blew my own statement there. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring Chad Smith with you, what the hell? We got room for him too. Good night.